Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the voice behind ThatKaitoDan, and with the welcome release of the Volume 4 soundtrack, we now have a host of new songs to listen to from the latest chapter of RWBY's story. And might I just say, first off, big thank you and big congratulations to Jeff, Casey, Alex, Steve, and the entire music team for some outstanding work this volume. Some of their best yet in my opinion. Not just in the vocal pieces as well, but in the background tunes too. Please guys, be sure to support these amazing folks out by buying the soundtrack. So with the OST finally in our hands, it's time I give my thoughts on the new songs and explore how they might portray key themes, tie into respective characters, and so on. But before we begin, and I must stress this, I just want to point out that all RWBY songs are not literal in regards to the narrative or elements such as characters' emotions, relationships, or plot points. Nothing explored in these songs is canon until implemented into the show purposefully. A song can certainly reference or fit a certain theme or character's arc within the show, but it's always best to accept the song's contents as supplementary material that you don't necessarily need to fully understand certain aspects in the show's events and characters. So yes, take the meanings in these songs and any RWBY song with a pinch of salt and not gospel truth. I'm just looking at how they could play into things, and I'll easily be wrong too as well, so this is just my interpretation. Oh, and there will be a lot of spoilers ahead, so watch with caution. Without further ado, let's begin, fiddly enough, with the intro theme for this latest volume, Let's Just Live. Now, personally, I don't agree with some folks out there that the theme for Volume 4 needed to be darker or as dark as Volume 3's. We needed something that portrays a ray of hope and a will to move on, more so than examples of more dread and fear. And it did still make for a killer song in the end either way. Though I would still personally say my favourite opening theme so far is still Time to Say Goodbye from Volume 2. This piece explores the kids' emotions post Beacon's fall, with a more softer tone in comparison to the more foreboding aura of Volume 3's when it falls. But there's still a sense of pain and sadness that doesn't ignore what's taken place, what's been lost, and the darker times still to come. Compare this song to Volume 1's This Will Be the Day, a track that has themes of innocent hope and confidence towards someone's goals and dreams, and you can tell that the student's faith and self-belief has been shaken. This song acts as the internal debate that RWBY and her friends had to address when it came to what to do next, and what's weighing on their minds that's making their decision a tough one to make. While largely focused on RWBY, all the kids are now understanding that life isn't a fairy tale that promises you glory or a happy ending. There may be battles they'll face where they won't come out unscathed, especially when they still have much to learn. Now they're left in the rubble of bruised dreams, their carefree days gone, and their eyes open to the world's true cruelty. And it's clear that there's more trouble ahead that won't guarantee the gang a tomorrow without strife if they do press on. Questions in the song itself are likely the same ones that the kids ask themselves already. Can they be happy again now they've experienced such pain? What if they do try and push on and face their enemies but still can't win? They've already lost so much and are suffering already, so if they lose more friends, lose more joy in their lives, and lose their belief that things can still turn around, what would they have left? It's a scary thing sometimes to move on, not knowing what lies ahead. In the end, each of these kids have experienced so much that giving up could be their best option while they still have the choice. However, the hopeful part of this song, especially towards the end, serves as a somber and reflective counter-argument to these issues, the lyrics providing one big reason to keep fighting. What if those that they've lost saw them give up? Hero would be heartbroken seeing Jean too deep in grief to ever be happy again or live up to his amazing potential. And Penny would just feel sad that RWBY never opened her heart out to another like she did for her. You'd imagine that if they could, they'd tell them not to sacrifice their life in sorrow, but instead keep on enjoying life. Yes, they've seen enough examples of what they stand to lose should they continue, and it's not going to be easy. They'll have to take it day by day, and yet RWBY and Co, hardened by their experience, will take that first step back on their path, and remember that they can still smile and laugh while doing so. They just gotta make the effort now, instead of thinking that it can come easy. By the way, there's a heartwarming little Easter egg in the chorus. Take the first letter of these words from the last lyric and put them together, and you make Monty. A nice tributing touch by Jeff, and the lyric itself is a perfect summary of the song. The desire to keep moving forward, just like the man himself believed. Next, we move on to a track that I was super looking forward to listening in full, Like Morning Follows Night, the musical accompaniment to Blake and Sun's volume-long disagreement. And I say musical with big emphasis, because this tune feels a lot like a staged musical duet from the Furnace pair, the two singing their hearts out as they clash mindsets over Blake's decision to run and hide herself once more, with Sun following her, just like the sunny morning follows the shadowy night. A nice touch in the title given the sun and moon elements that these two share. Now, the cat Furnace is extremely dismissive of Sun's attempts to try and help her out, and a big part of that comes from a large issue that she has suffered from for a long time, trying to fix the past and doing so on her own. Her past with the White Fang and with Adam has fueled a lot of her actions, especially feeling like she has to make up for where she's gone wrong. Yet she struggled to find any means to fix things or even out the bad with something good, which of course feeds into a bad habit of running away when facing her demons. It's a large part into why she's going it alone too. She's been too afraid to accept her mistakes and move on, and even though she has opened up to Sun, Yang, and the rest of her team previously, it's only following some strong drama or convincing. In Blake's mind, she feels they can't understand what she's gone through, and it's her cross to bear, her weight to carry, so no one can judge her for where she slipped up, and also so no one else can get hurt. Of course, Blake's now trying to carry the burden of what happened at Beacon alone, a destructive act caused by people that Blake feels she could have perhaps stopped in the past, and once again, she's ran away. She can't risk anyone else being close to her as she looks for some answers, should the next incident cause more pain to those she holds dear, just like with Yang. That's where Sun comes in, and his side echoes a lot of his statements from the volume's end. The monkey boy has backed up Blake in the past, and now he's trying to bring her back to her friends, or at the very least, make sure she's not alone in these trying times. Sun can tell that Blake's going down a very dangerous path, living in the past and trying to balance out her mistakes at the cost of the love and the happiness that she has right now. Even someone as free-spirited as Sun can tell you that it's best to leave the past as it is. You can learn from it to make sure things get better, yeah, but if you keep focusing on the past, then you're gonna watch your life go by without you as you wallow in despair and shame that only you are the one feeding. Yes, it's fair for Blake to want her friends to be safe, and she's free to want to go elsewhere to find some answers. She's allowed to make her choice, but she's also stopping Sun and the others from having their choice. Out of all of the holes in Blake's logic that Sun in this song points out and in the show as well, it's thinking that she's protecting her friends when she's actually hurting them. They'd rather be there for their friend through her struggles than see her suffer alone. And until Blake realizes that and becomes aware of the downward spiral that she's creating, Sun will be there and make sure that she never walks alone. Now there's one part in this song, in Lamar's awesome rapping by the way, where things get interesting, as it seems Sun might have his own struggles from things in the past, maybe from the events in Beacon, or something else that's more personal that's stopping him having true joy. But regardless of whatever it is that's making him have these stressful feelings, he's trying to keep it restrained, so whatever weighs heavily on his mind isn't driving him to the breaking point, likely due to wanting to focus solely on Blake's situation and making sure she's okay, which really shows the level of kindness and consideration he has for others if this is true. Of course, there's also one line in particular that could suggest another hint of possible romantic feelings that the boy could have for Blake. Though on the other hand, this could just be the love that a friend has for another in need. We'll have to wait and see how that could pan out, but regardless, this is still a fantastic track that explores this bumpy yet wonderful relationship these two do have that has grown stronger with some ups and downs, as well as the strengths that can come from having loyal friends wanting to be there for you through anything. And I cannot wait to see what lies ahead for these two, if this song is anything to go on. Now we move on to the first theme from Mr. Crow Bronwyn, the bad luck charm himself. It's a short piece, yeah, with the music more so fitting the high-octane pace of Crow's fight with Tyrion, but that doesn't stop it from being a badass and yet emotional tune that provides a better insight on one of RWBY's most mysterious characters. Volume 4 revealed that Crow's semblance isn't a pleasant one, a constantly active misfortune effect, and as we hear in this song, Crow has a lot of suffering and caution tied to this unwelcome gift. At many points in the song, it blares out terms that fit the end result should you be a victim of Crow's power. The pain you'll suffer, the grave situations that you'll constantly face. There's so much here that can be summed up as Crow's warning if you spend enough time around him. Friend or foe, fate will turn against you, and you'll pay hard. Naturally, Crow doesn't want this curse, nor want others to suffer by just being around him, which goes a long way to explain his rather distant tone and his relationships with his friends and family. Maybe even his drinking habits too. Heck, the poor guy can't even control his semblance. He has no understanding of when it will strike. And that's even more reasoning in Crow's mind to keep his distance from anyone he cares for. He's been through a lot to be this sure that he's nothing but trouble, clearly worn down by the past sorrows his curse has dished out. That's why this song includes many descriptions of other unlucky elements that Crow sees himself as equal to. A black cat crossing your path, a broken mirror that gives you 7 years bad luck, even an albatross of all things, which in the poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, is described as symbolizing a psychological burden weighing heavily around your neck like a curse. While his nieces and those who respect his work as a huntsman may see Crow as a hero, he's not a blessing to anyone in his eyes. It's a tragic piece for a man who clearly wants nothing more than to keep those dear to him safe, but he can't promise that. He'll make it clear, no matter what you say, that if you stay by his side, it's not going to end well. And if that means keeping his distance from his nieces or his allies, then he'll take that sorrow. He'll suffer alone so long as no one else suffers the burden that comes with being near a man who, as Crow himself mentioned in the show, is named as such strictly because of his power. I mean, what better name for a man who brings misfortune everywhere he goes than of a bird that symbolizes nothing but bad luck. Switching over now to This Life Is Mine, and this song has instantly jumped right into my top 3 favorite RWBY songs now. Everything from its incredibly emotionally charged music to Casey's fantastic vocals makes this such a golden piece of music to listen to, and the same praise definitely goes into the lyrics, fitting for Weiss's grandest moment in her personal arc. Weiss's struggles with her self-doubts and Jacques' grip on her life is well documented, and this song continues on from past Weiss-focused songs as we hear more of her resentment for her father and the emotional tug-of-war between her head and her heart on what move to next make if she still wishes to break free. This battle represented as ever in Weiss songs as a conversation between Weiss and a reflection in the mirror, a symbolic side of herself that is submissive and hesitant to act due to her upbringing. Weiss had just started to get a grip on being a free person before life threw her back into her source of grief, and she has now seen how the world can chew her up if she's not mentally prepared. As a result, the Snow Angel's doubts are bubbling up once again, fearing that there may be some truth to all the things that people like her father have said about her, that without the Schnee name and without Jacques' control, she'll be nothing. It doesn't help as well that she's back home under that same toxic environment that won't offer her any support as she tries to clear her head. But again though, Weiss has clearly grown as a fighter and as a person during her time at Beacon and with her friends. She's even made an effort to completely cut herself off from the benefits of being a schnee. But alas, that nagging voice of her reflection is still there in her head. A part of her that fears that it may be too late to change, and if she tried, she may find out she is too weak to handle whatever else life has in store for her. It's understandable she's hesitant. Regardless of how terrible she's been treated by Jacques in the past, being constantly tested and guilt-tripped into being the perfect heir that he wants, this is still the life that she has been raised in ever since she was a little girl, with little option but to accept the path that was given to her and the broken family life that was surrounding her. Yet this song isn't solely about the battle between Weiss and her fears. Sure, it starts out that way, but as Weiss turns her attention to Daddy Dearest, it's clear that this isn't the meek girl who is scared of making the big decision, and thus, this song serves as a straight up act of defiance that slowly reignites Weiss's drive as she vents everything towards her dad. Weiss's confidence was shaken, but not broken. And after seeing Jacques again, and the life that he wants to impose on her in comparison to the freedom and support that the life of the Huntress offered her, she's had enough of letting someone else steer her life. She does accept feeling ashamed that it's taken this long for her to act, but Weiss knows that she has the potential to do great things. Perhaps the biggest element that showcases Weiss's conviction in this song to press onwards is this one lyric. Now this conversation's finally over, mirror mirror, now we're done. A powerful line that suggests that Weiss is shattering the mental entity that she vented all her strife towards as she finally realizes that her insecurities, her father's actions, and her lineage doesn't define her. The former heiress is now ready to become her true self and carry her insecurities alongside her as her reasons to keep growing. Though personally, my favourite expression of this change and Weiss's clear statement of intent is the music itself. The first verse and chorus does have that gripping orchestral style that is similar to the past two Mirror Mirror songs, which contained a lot of Weiss's conversations with her insecure self. But as it hits the second verse, the pace, the tone, and the instruments shift into hard-hitting, heart-pounding sounds, defining Weiss's growing confidence and her revived defiance. Once the pace truly picks up through the guitar solo and rocking drums, it's unquestionable now that Weiss is standing up for herself no matter what Jacques feels. A Weiss song with a clearly uncommon but welcome atmosphere that screams Weiss is opening the doors to all possibilities now. She'll embrace whatever comes her way as she sets off on her own, and it's a song that has cemented a landmark moment of growth for Weiss. Now we go from Screw You Dad to All the Feels, with talking about home. And there's a few ways you can look at this beautiful ballad. One is this could be RWBY comforting the rest of Team Ranger after everything they've been through lately. It also could be Ren sharing his feelings about the comfort that Nora brings him, and the promise he makes to give the same right back as they stay by each other's side. There's even a possibility that it's similar to All Our Days, only this time from RWBY's point of view on the bond and support that she has with Yang, who she misses so much. It could be any of these themes, or maybe even a combination, as the song did blend in during the closing moments of Volume 4 where all moments were being focused on. There's so much love and kindness in this song that's a very welcome listen to after all the tense moments of Volume 4's second half, and basically the entire emotional rollercoaster that the show has given us this whole time for the last while. You've got advice about taking things slowly, letting time and rest heal many of your wounds while you still got someone beside you to calm any fear. A lyric that could harken the most to Ren's emotion cloaking semblance. But either way, it's a strong and welcome viewpoint that would no doubt be appreciated by the recipient. There's also a fair bit of reflection and concern on how things may still turn out, which shows there's still some lingering wounds that need more time to heal, with a mature understanding that things won't stop being difficult after they've cleared the first hurdle. These guys have lost homes, families, and friends, and that can bring a lot of sadness in one's life, even if the person of focus is feeling the brunt of it as they try to offer the others a shoulder to cry on. They're not certain about what lies ahead, and they've accepted that their goals can sometimes feel out of reach, something that Let's Just Live previously explored. But regardless on if it's from RWBY's point of view, Ren's, or any of the gangs, there's a straightforward statement in the song that even if they are bound to trip up again in the future, they'll stand strong no matter what comes their way, because they're not alone. There's not really a lot of mystery or deeper meaning behind home, but it's more than effective at what it portrays, that even if they are far away from those they love, or away from familiar comforting sights, even if they are still carrying the wounds of loss, these lot will keep strong because they're not alone, no matter the highs or lows, so one day things may look brighter. It's another glimpse that shows why humanity together is stronger than when it is divided, and that of course will be a key thing as Salem's forces continue to try and break such strong bonds. Now it's time to explore the credits song, focused solely on the resident but wounded blonde bombshell Yang, armed and ready. Now, Yang's obviously had a very rough and life-altering experience just happen. While at the start of the Volume 4 arc she was more used to living with one arm than before, the song pinpoints early on just how deep her torment still is, with the same never-ending visions of Volume 3's final moments and the one responsible haunting her constantly. Adam bested her so easily, leaving her a broken girl with physical and mental scars, and that's not even taking into account the added pain of Blake leaving her without a word, even after Yang risked so much to make sure that she's safe, and as a result, Yang's life has been on pause, the firecracker unable to shake these demons from her mind. These wounds formed a deep depression that Yang chose to accept, a constant spell of misery and agony that kept her grounded, turning the once confident and bold young girl into a shell of her former self, watching the days pass by without even thinking of rekindling her ambitions. Clearly there were a lot of barriers in Yang's way before she could even think of making a true recovery and returning to a more familiar attitude alongside her friends. Fortunately, we do bear witness through the volume and through the song that the time off also gave Yang an opportunity to let her emotions simmer down, think things through, realize where she needs to improve, and remind herself that she's still alive, instead of what she might have done if she was still her normal self, which, as Ty touched on, would be more of her stubborn, bullheaded charging in right back into the fray, thinking she's too tough to be knocked down. Yang is aware now that that isn't the case, and she will live with a constant reminder that she needs to adapt to these new tests that she will face, especially since a rematch with Adam is sure to happen once Yang is back in the game. The good news though is after some welcome advice on her flaws and her fears, Yang is literally making herself armed and ready for whatever comes her way. The song also using the very same motif that This Life Is Mine had of building up the pace and energy to signal a boost in confidence as a sort of musical war cry. It's a badass, passionate tune that fits the Yang we've missed so much while still fueled by the pain that still lingers. Yang has missed that old side of herself as well. She wants to recapture her happiness, her bonds, and her goals to help find her feet again. There's also mentions echoing the Spitfire wanting to be the wild child once again that asks for strawberry sunrises, while also making sure she gets respect the easy way or the hard way, instead of the Yang that shuts out the world and is unsure of herself. What once held her back is now her incentive to mature and grow, having enough of crying and feeling meek. We won't know how Yang truly copes until she's fighting and facing her fears, especially in regards to Adam and Blake, but if there's anything this song makes clear, it's that those who wanted to cut her down have only made Yang burn brighter. She feels alive for the first time in ages, and what was once her chains holding her back is now her reasons to keep soaring. This tune ushering in her recovery, her resolve, and most importantly, her return. Now we move on to some extra songs, and while the instrumental piece of this song was used in Volume 4, the lyrical version wasn't. That song of course being Lusus Naturae, which debuted in the video game Grim Eclipse. But given its lyrics play more into that story found in the game than the main show, and in case you haven't checked the game out, which you should, I will be offering you guys a chance to skip this song if you don't want to be spoiled, so jump to this time if you wish to head to the last song. You still here? Well, okay then, let's talk about this chilling track, accurately translated from Latin to mean freak of nature. A fitting name for the twisted creations from the mind of the game's bad guy, Dr. Merlot. Now, there's no hint that the Mad Doctor will appear in the main show itself, and the song is very self-contained to Merlot's scheme, so if you played the game, you kinda know the depths of this song's contents already. Essentially, it's the warped mind of Merlot basking in the brilliance of his scheme, which involves experimenting on the Grim. This former student of Ozpin's sees the Dark Beast not as an enemy or a curse upon the land, but as some sort of perfect life form, and with his scientific mind, he looked to improve where nature failed in his eyes, so they can reach their ultimate potential. Like many others in the world, Merlot wants to know more about these mysterious creatures born from black ooze, though it is hard given their fragile bodies upon their death, making it hard to truly examine them. But the potential is too good to pass up, so Merlot shared his concept with his allies so the Grim could be stronger, more durable, and a boon rather than a problem. Though whether or not he was actually genuine with his good-natured plan is up in the air. Alas, for the poor Doctor, with the terror these nightmares bring, it's no wonder that the Doctor's plans were scoffed at by his peers. Even so, it was that dismissal and the insults that he gained as a result that led to Merlot acting on his plans in secret, seeking to prove the fools and the doubters wrong. Cause what better way to answer the critics than with living, breathing, deadly proof? Thus the birth of his freaks of nature, and as the song becomes more explosive and insane, we hear Merlot's possibly good intentions falling to the side, as his twisted glee at his beautiful creations being brought to life warps his sanity into thinking that he's akin to a god, having given true life to the Grim. Now he's vengeful and praising his success. These misunderstood beasts are now dubbed his brood. The world's enemy is now his to do with as he pleases, and thus he becomes a danger himself. Maybe we'll see these enhanced foes in the show's main future, or maybe even see the fallen Doctor himself. But at least we got this haunting and wicked song, befitting a man who, as the lyrics describe, wanted to give the monster's life a use, even if it is a truly frightening sight. And now we've reached the last song for this analysis, and it's quite the hot topic. Obviously I'm talking about the brand new piece debuting on this soundtrack, Bmblb. Now, this is the one song that I want to seriously reiterate my previous discussion on RWBY songs and their connection to canon, given a few people have taken this song and used it in some very negative ways. While I'm fully supportive of the shipping community as a whole, I'm even a part of it, I want to emphasize that regardless on how you view the song's contents, you should not use this song or any song as means to abuse or insult fans of any ship or any part of the fandom. You shouldn't attack anyone for the stuff they like, let alone when it's something connected to the same show that you both like. This is only a minority of the people doing this, mind you, as the fandom as a whole, not just restricted to the Bumblebee ship, is wonderful and full of amazing people. But please, treat others in the community, be it in the shipping side or any part of the group, as you yourself would want to be treated. So, with that out of the way, what do I think about the song itself? Well, I love it. It's bouncy and it's charming, you can't help but sway along with it. And it's a nice treat added on that Jeff worked on during the wait for the Volume 4 OST's release. He didn't have to make another song for us to enjoy, but I respect the effort that went into it and the kindness for doing so regardless. As for the analysis side of things, that's where things get a little interesting again. Now, this is obviously portrayed as a romantic song with Bmblb as the leading focus. But as others have pointed out, beyond the title and a few B-related motifs, there's not a lot that actually connects exclusively to what we imagine are the thoughts and feelings of Blake or Yang, and it's a very different kind of romantic song seen from the series. I'll shine a spotlight on Jake the One Man Band's video about this song, as I echo a lot of his insight that I'll touch on here too, so do check out that video, which I'll link in the description down below. In short, this song is missing any elements that you can actually directly tie to Blake or Yang to make it clear that it's from their point of view exclusively, and that it's containing feelings that's tied solely to them alone, especially when compared to other romantic songs. Take for example Boop. You got several mentions of things like castles, queens, and even Magenhild, all elements that can be associated with Nora without even adding in the reference from the song's title. Sure, there are still some lyrics that can fit for these two, like mentions of darkness and gloom being chased away, similar to how Yang has helped wash away some of Blake's woes. And of course the B-related motifs would work the best with the Bumblebee ship via its name. But it's also weird when you consider the state of Blake and Yang's current relationship, that it's been on the rocks. Blake leaving Yang and the others left a clear deep wound on Yang, and the two didn't even share a scene this entire volume. So with nothing that could lead to fixing their strained bond, it would seem odd to have a romantic song for these two be the first instance where we start to see clear signs of a crush forming when their connection feels the most broken it's ever been. In the end, this song is very open to interpretation, and I'm not even ruling out this being a Bumblebee themed song. Again, we only really got this song as a nice treat to make up for the time spent waiting on the OST. And say what you will about it being cannon fuel or pandering to the shippers and nothing more, but for me, I'm just enjoying it for what it is right now. A pure and charming love song. Let it be your support for whatever ship you wish, or take it as non-literal as you want. It's sweet, it's bubbly, and hey, if it does lead to something in the future, you've got something to come back to and enjoy with even more added context. In the end, I'll just listen and sing along like I would for any song. And with the quality of this soundtrack as a whole, that's definitely not going to be a challenge. This whole soundtrack was phenomenal and well worth the wait, even when just focusing on the top drawer work put into the various background pieces and remixes. It's a golden tracklist filled with some of the music crew's finest work, and I tip my hat off to each and every one of them. This is a fantastic group of people at work here, folks, and I'm truly grateful that I can listen to their amazing talents. And that's it for this jam-packed video. I'm gonna go carry on listening to these songs now, all the way up to Volume 5 and beyond. But what do you guys think about the OST? Was it good for you? And what was your standout track? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're at it, hit the subscribe and bell buttons to make sure you get every new video from me as they drop. Plus, follow me on Twitter at ThatKaitoDan through the link in the description down below to get the latest on anything RWBY related, updates on future videos, or just anything else on my mind. Until next time though, enjoy the tunes and have a good day or good night, and peace out.